The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
All right. Hello, Jamie. And this is
Steve,
Steve.
happy Monday. How are you?
Happy Monday. And we've got a interesting week for you all. This is a test drive focused week. So if you were tuning in today to check into the normal office hours where we have some pre-programmed content and a blueprint for you all, that's not how it's going to be this week. Our 2 o'clock Eastern webinars this week, 5 o'clock Eastern webinars this week are all going to follow pretty much the same format. We have hundreds of test drivers in here using trade ideas, kicking the tires, and I know a lot of you have some questions pent up. So in that respect, I mean, we're just going to get right into it. We've got 1 hour here to try and address as many questions as we can, and we will do our best. And this is also being recorded. So the good news is people can refer back to this, or people who missed it can see what's going on. So I will say hello to Jamie and let him show his screen. And the questions box, I see a couple of people saying hello. So thank you for letting us know you can hear and see us. But the question box is going to be the main place to ask questions. And again, we're going to try and point you in the right direction and be as brief as we can. We've got a lot to get through. But the good news is we're going to be here, like I said, every day, Monday through Thursday at this time. And then on Friday, we have a full 3 hours to wind up the end of the week. It's going to be a little earlier webinar. I believe it's 11 a.m. Eastern, but that one's going to go for a full 3 hours. So let me turn it over to Jamie's desktop, and the floor is basically you guys. We're just going to kind of dive right into it and try and get some of the basic questions out of the way for a Monday on a test drive week where people have, some pent-up ideas of what they want to get working on for the week. So here we are. Hello, everybody. Hello, Jamie.
Steve, hello again. Happy Monday, and wow, all-time highs again. Crazy, eh?
Oh, they must have got the government working again, huh?
Exactly. So anyway, guys, market commentary aside, welcome to the test drive edition of the office hours on Monday, where we're going to do general Q&A for all the test drivers that are out there. So one quick deal here, I guess, just for legal reasons, Steve, we might as well just go ahead and do the little disclaimer spiel here. That way the company attorneys don't have heart attacks. So let me get that out of the way real quick here, and just want to make sure that everybody here, whether it's this webinar or any other webinar that you attend, everything that we share with you is for educational purposes only. So please don't misconstrue what we say today as a solicitation to buy or sell anything, especially anything in the stock market. If you need investment advice, if you need somebody to tell you when to buy, when to sell, and what that might be, please seek out a registered investment advisor or some other licensed individual that can help you out in that capacity.
Great. And
Okay.
second announcement before we get going, I want to call all your attention to the chat window, which is part of, it's not the question window, it's the chat window. It's where we can drop links and share stuff with you guys. But in that chat window, if you click the little triangle and expand it, what you will see is getting started video. It's a 1 hour YouTube video, which is going to cover the majority of the basic questions. We implore you guys, please try and get a time in which you can spend an hour absorbing all of the basics that are in that jam-packed video. So that is in the chat window. It's available for anybody to use. But here we are, and I'll go ahead and take a look at the questions here. The first one's from Sean. I was having issues loading screens today. Maybe you could be a little more specific. What screens were you looking to load there, Sean? And we can try and walk you through it. And Lance, I will take a look at your question behind the scenes here. Thank you.
Yeah, if you give us a little bit of info on what was taking a while to load, specific window.
The screens just continued to load. So they said loading, but no data ever came in. Why don't you show them, make sure the first thing you're doing, Jamie, how to connect and make sure you're connected with that toolbar.
Right. So the TI tool.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the TI toolbar here, as long as you're getting green lights coming through here and the little ball is green, then you have a good connection. So if your, say for example, your top list might not have been populating, the window pops up, but there's nothing, no data in the fields. Just really kind of hard for us to diagnose unless you can be specific or maybe send us a screenshot of that type of activity. And the second question would be, did it clear up after a time?
Oops.
All right, Steve, we go in any particular order here.
No, I'm going to try and check out that one question on why he wasn't getting oddsmaker, and I'm going to have to reload that again. Bear with us, guys. We could be a little behind the 8 ball. We'll do our best here. Okay.
And I'll go ahead and let's see. John was asking how to create a scan for stocks consolidating. So we're going to have to ask everybody that wants a scan or help creating a scan to send that request to info@trade-ideas.com. That way we can allocate time only to getting that window created and sent over to you. And Ryan, that what you're describing there, the question is there a way to link all windows relative to the top panel, so when you move it, they all move in unison? That's called container format. That is not available in Trade Ideas currently. I hear it's in the to-do list, but as far as the priority goes, there's no way to tell.
All right, and then who I was just typing to, I'm sorry, who was that? Hang on one second. Okay, Lance, it looks like everything's okay from what I can tell for your account, but I'm going to have you info@trade-ideas if you can have somebody on the accounting side take a look and see if I missed something. But I took a look and it should be good to go for you on the premium setup unless I've missed something. But info@trade-ideas.com is an email we're going to be giving out a lot today to try and help people get tertiary, follow-up type of support. Okay, where are we at? You did Ryan's question, right? Okay.
Right, and
Okay.
then the container question also applies to Mark was asking the same question. So not presently, no container mode.
You know what you could show them, Jamie? Show them how to minimize all windows and how to restore all windows. There is a bit of a trick using the application. You basically
if you would like,
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. If you want to minimize, we simply minimize the toolbar. Boom, that's going to minimize everything. All right, we come back down here, we find out our toolbar again, click on it, and you can maximize everything simultaneously just by minimizing the toolbar like so.
And maximizing it. The only way we're going to have a container window is in the web-based product, which is not quite up to par to the application product. So, I mean, if that's a deal killer for you, you could try the web-based product, which, by the way, you just log in on our home page, use TI Web, and use your test drive credentials for that.
And Steve, that kind of parlays into our means question there. If he has a Mac and he's using the web version versus the Windows client, what exactly is he missing out on? And that gap is getting smaller and smaller as to things that aren't available. We've got Holly available now on the web version. I believe one of the only things that you won't get are the RBI, GBI windows.
Correct.
You see right here.
And price alerts.
And the price alerts, which allow you to set price alerts for any type of stock and the price action that you would like to see. For example, while we're on that topic, price alerts would be something, if you see an interesting level on the charts, for example, back during the trading session before the SPY had popped above this line here, I could have easily right-clicked and created a price alert so that when the SPY did cross above that plane, threshold, or price, I would have got the alert window for the price alerts to pop up. Let me know about that so I don't miss it. Great way to keep an eye on things, a great way to paper trade as well if you're a new trader.
Okay, next question I'm going to jump in here is Angie. Easy question. Can we set an audible alarm for new trades that Holly enters? Very easy.
Absolutely.
You want to go to the strategy trades, the actual trades,
what I'm going to do here, just so everybody knows what they're looking at here, we've got Holly's strategy panel here. And then right down here, I've got her entire trade blotter, which we can easily spawn by right-clicking here and saying View All Trades. Once we have that panel up, we right-click and we come down here to Actions. We click on that window, we set up the sound, we check the little box that says Play Sound. And of course, when we go in here to set the sound up, you've got your choice of some of the basic Windows sounds. A lot of people like myself like to have text-to-speech. She reads out the symbol whenever it comes out, and you can adjust the volume levels accordingly. So that's how we get Holly to audibly alert on her plays.
The same thing goes with alert windows, A windows, or other windows that have the ability to have the action sound. Some windows can, some windows can't. Okay.
And it will be under properties for the alert windows.
Is my cloud the only channel that can be customized and saved? Well, technically, you're not going to be able to make your own channel. That channel cloud just basically takes you directly to what your library is. Essentially, your default layout is kind of your own cloud. You know, the channels are on the left, and those are very interesting pre-configured alerts that, by the way, you can simply go into any of those alert channels and right-click. Let's just do it one time. If everybody would watch, it's really important. Thank you. So Jamie just went to a channel. He left his default layout. Now he likes this particular scan called Short Squeeze. So he's going to right-click, and he's going to save this to his cloud. So slowly but surely, you can build your own cloud personal library from things that you see individually in these channel bars. And then once you've got everything that you like, you went shopping in the channel bars, you go back to load layout, and ideally, you know, loading the one that's called default layout is the one that Trade Ideas looks for to open up where we want all of our custom windows to reside, including Holly or anything else that we want to bring in. Okay, thanks. If you have a chance, would you go to Friday's webinar about sector strategy? Dan, I can do that, but it's a bit more intermediate. If you want to email me, info@trade-ideas.com and request that it be sent to Steve, I can do my best to reply to you. But that might take up, 15 minutes here of just, creating one specific strategy, and you would not believe the amount of questions that are coming through here. So we're going to try and do our best. But I'll be happy to help you via email, Dan, on any other questions you might have on that.
Right, and Ryan. Corey, the webinar is being recorded.
Yeah, and actually, let me do this. I'm going to drop the second link into the chat window, which is just an easy way for you all to find our YouTube channel. So I'll do that as well. Let me grab the YouTube channel, and I will make that very clear in the chat window. YouTube channel. All right, it's a short link to the YouTube channel, but that's where you're going to find the end of day recordings that we're going to be putting together all week here.
Okay. All right, so are we down to David yet?
Still a cool platform. I just want to acknowledge Ryan. Thank you for saying that. We are down to David, I believe.
Right, with the options.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so let's just keep in mind, David, that typically the active options are going to be running in unison with the active and liquid stocks, right? So if you're tracking the active stocks, you can track the active options. We do have a limited number of, and let me just see if I've got anything in my cloud here that I can pull up. But we do have a limited number of options filters. So for example, you can see here I've got quite a few things in my cloud with the word option in there. But let's pull up, let's see here. This is one of I believe this is one of Andy's windows, right, Steve? Sneaky option buying, right? So this is an alert window. Now, if I right click and hit configure, and I search, and I just type in the word options, here you can see these are the offerings that we have for options filters presently. All right, a lot of the basic stuff: put call ratio, options volume, call volume, put volume. Now, You can mandate minimums and maximums here, or we can create windows where you're constantly viewing those metrics in what we call a top list format. But for example, you can combine the things that we use, the filters that we use for stocks, along with the options filters to create interesting option plays. So in this simple example here on sneaky option buying, the options have to be operating at 500% compared to what is normal, 100% being normal. So lots of different ways to employ the basic option filters and help people find good options that are trading along with their stocks.
And to David's question, I'm glad you showed him that, because he may not have been aware that we do have some great tools to help for options traders. But in terms of Holly the AI, there really is no thumbs up, thumbs down on option strategy when it comes to that. What I would do, David, is we're going to talk about this. Let's talk about the single stock window next. Okay. So the single stock window, if you pull up something in Holly, what is really nice to do is also have it on the chart, but also what you'll notice is this white window is linked to that particular symbol. Now there's some data points on there. What you may want to do, David, is just right click and configure in that single stock window, which by the way is launched by going to the new single stock window. Then you can right click and then exactly new single stock window. And then once you've got the basic single stock window, you can right click and configure and go to search tab and find the data points that have to do with like put, call, some of the option strategies that we have, or even maybe even just type in the word option. And you can see the data points. Yeah, any one of those data points you could essentially assign to that single stock window. So let's rehash. If Holly calls a trade, he brings it out. You now can run it through the prism of what's the call volume, what's the put volume doing, what's going on in the options market. So those are some data points that you could add to the single stock window, because Holly really is a discretionary tool. It's just another tool that we have that happens to have a lot of statistical probabilities behind it, but it still is the discretion of each trader as to which trades they may or may want to take or select. To answer your question, Jamie showed you some good stuff that we do have for scans outside of Holly, but if you want to look at a particular Holly trade, I would recommend that single stock window and have you load it up with some options type filters and see if the call ratios are 400% above normal. That could be something very interesting for somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of missed that Holly point there, but yeah, you would just want to take the plays that Holly generates. Obviously, if they do have options traded on them, you can quickly see, are the options also trading at higher multiples? Because then you have the underlying equity matching up with a statistically viable event, and where one goes, the other should go, as long as you're doing in the money calls or puts, obviously.
That's what we're doing right now, Marcia. We're trying to do a beginner's live webinar. So people have live access, and we're going to be doing this all week. So we're not just throwing you to an old video that's canned. That canned video will answer a lot of people's questions, but we're going to be making ourselves available to you guys all week. Okay, this might be a good moment to just take 3 minutes for Kumar. He says, I want to scan for the high of day momentum. Let's just show maybe the first couple steps of how to start an alert from scratch.
Let's do that. We'll do a new alert window here. And we'll select the start from scratch option and load those settings up. Make sure we're looking at the right exchanges. We're on all symbols. Okay. We just want to do some bread and butter price type action here.
Well, the first thing we want to select is new high. We have to select our event.
That is true. We can do that first.
And there's the search tab, which is very important.
Okay. And of course, new high is going to be at the top. But keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, while we're on this topic, if we're on this category with nothing here, all alerts are presented to you first. When you see the purple and blue guys begin, then you know the alerts are done, and these are the filters, right? So we've got our catalyst here, new high. Now we can sketch out some basic filter criteria.
Yeah, price is always the first one.
Yeah.
A lot of people like smaller caps, so you could go $1 to $20 if you wanted to.
Perfect.
And next we got to do some sort of a volume average daily to make sure we don't get the thin stuff. So if there's an average daily volume filter already loaded,
That is correct. I
You might
didn't
want to
see it
put
there
something
still on
like
this top number.
maybe 250,000 shares. So only stocks that average 250,000 shares by the end of the day. Now, you talked about Momo. Relative volume can be a great Momo scanner, and relative means how's it doing on the run rate for the day? What's the pace of volume? If a stock stays at 1 all day long, it's doing the normal pace of volume. But if a stock goes to 2 on relative volume, well, now it's doing 2 times the amount of relative volume that it normally would do for that time of day. So that's going to give us a little momentum as well. Another great idea from momentum scanners is the 5-minute volume. What is the value of the 5-minute volume in terms of percent? 100% would be normal volume. So if we put like 400% in there in the minimum, well, what that means is the 5-minute candle has to have been doing 4 times normal 5-minute candle volume. And we know what that is because Trade Ideas has a database going back almost 3 months. So there's just kind of a rough edge, hard way to start. And again, to answer your question, Kumar, if you want more help on configuring something with more detail, and this goes to everybody, info@trade-ideas.com, and be as specific as you can with what you're looking for a scan, and we'll basically try and conjure up something that's a good foundation, and then we'll either give you the cloud link or we'll drop the cloud link into your account.
Well, Steve,
Right.
what a symbol! What a symbol to pop up on a Momo scanner. Look,
Hope. All right.
you've got hope. Hope's
We've got
going up.
hope.
All right.
All
So
right.
what I did here, ladies and gentlemen, is this is real time. This is the last thing to come through 1 second before the close. But let's take a peek at what this configuration generated today had we had been watching this exact configuration. So what I'm going to do here is right click and go to history and just say all. And now we can see everything that this configuration generated today. And this is a very handy feature for those of you just seeing the technology for the very first time, because it allows you to operate with the freedom of you can be creative whenever you want. It doesn't matter if the market is closed. As soon as you put a configuration in place, you can go back and review and go, hey, this thing is doing what I hoped it would do, or not really, and it's time to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, every time I make a new configuration, I go right to history today. Show me everything that happened today. Am I getting a lot of alerts? Am I getting just a few alerts? Do I need to make some changes? All right, I know where I want to go next here, Jamie. I want you,
Okay.
Andy, who's joined us as well, was nice enough to drop, for those of you who are interested in another type of momentum scan, and it's called the High-Low Pro. So what we're going to do here is we're going to demonstrate how to use a cloud link. So for all of you, again, in the chat window, there should be 3 items in there. Andy just dropped in a cloud link. What Jamie's going to do is he's going to click on that cloud link and show you what page it takes you to and where we go from there. So why don't you click on that link?
I
Perfect.
did.
So there is our load from cloud strategy, and you can see the title in there. It says Extreme Volume High-Low Pro. And what Jamie is doing is he's copying the entire URL, the address bar of that page, and that is essentially the cloud. So right-click copy. Once it's highlighted, all you got to do is file on the toolbar, load from cloud, and it's already in that bottom window. You don't even need to hit paste, just hit load, and look at that. That is a copy of what we call a multi-strategy window. The M stands for multi-strategy, which means there's more than one strategy in that window. We got a green one looking for stocks going up with incredibly high volume and incredibly good liquidity. And the yellow ones are the ones doing the opposite, going to new lows on very hard volume and hard driving volume. So this is one of our popular scans, and it's a very easy one to share and a very easy one to understand. So you guys would probably do yourself a favor by, clicking on that link and copying the URL on that top of that page, and then just going directly to File, Load from Cloud, and you'll have that in your cloud. Why don't you show them one more step, Jamie, which is Save to Cloud. Once you've got it loaded on your desktop, a good habit to get into is to save it to cloud, because you basically just kind of loaded it from somebody else. But now if you right click and go save, it's locked into your library for the entire test drive. You will never lose it. Okay? All right.
Right.
Let's see where we are. A couple of questions have been answered, I hope. Okay, so down to Mahmoud. Watched YouTube video. Thanks for the tips on creating your own default layouts. But can we go over the best way to use Holly AI channel? Sure. Jamie, I'm sure you probably have a few prepared statements on what Holly did today and maybe some of the best ways to use Holly.
Right. So keep in mind, everybody, the channels were originally designed to help new people kind of discover what is out there, all right? But when we click on the Holly channel here, like so, you'll notice my previous layout is erased or goes away, and now we're looking at the Holly AI channel. So the goal here, when we're, and this kind of gets two birds with one stone here, because it's about how to effectively go over the channels and only pluck out what you find interesting, because every channel is going to have a different theme. It's going to have 2 or 3 core windows in there and a couple of charts, right? So as you're scanning the windows, for example, we're on Holly AI, and we'll talk about how a little bit here, a little blurb on how to interact with Holly. But first and foremost, you can see the dilemma if I'm having to flip around channels, right? Because things disappear, and as traders, we develop, a taste of what we like to see, and we really want to, have the ultimate goal to create our default layout, which is going to be up there all the time. So we don't necessarily have to be flipping around a lot, okay? So what I'm going to do here real quick is load back up my current layout that I was using. And so now it's back up, okay? And you can see I could go to the Holly channel, or I could just look right down here because I've got Holly on my desktop already. So what you can do, and before we talk about Holly, we can always go up here and go new and spawn a new Holly strategy panel by clicking the selection there. Now, when we see Holly's strategy panel, which is all of the strategies that Holly brought to the trading session today. And we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 2 of which were short, the other 6 were longs. And we can see just because a strategy made the cut today doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's going to fire a trade. Only if the specific filter set and alert buyer does that strategy spit out a trade. Of course, it's no big surprise to see that the shorts didn't fire today due to the nature of the market. Now, down here, we can see all of the trades that Holly produced today. We've got columns that we can add and subtract based on what type of metric we want to keep track of here. And so if I sort by time over here, everybody keep in mind I'm on Pacific time, so the market opens at 6:30. So we can see Holly didn't trade until right about the first 25 minutes into trading. Her first signal came out, which was CTRL. So look at Holly, and the best way to kind of view Holly in the beginning is just treat it as if it's a person trading next to you. Say you're at a trading office and there's a person sitting there executing trades. Now Holly, of course, is not a person. She's a algorithm or a collection of algorithms. But whenever one of those signals matches up, she's gonna spit it out on her blotter, just like you were watching a real person trade. She's gonna mark the price at which the alert occurred as her price, and then she's gonna track the P&L as the trade unfolds. And of course, she will get out on a profit save or a timed exit or a stop loss or a profit target, just like any regular trader would. But the real takeaway here, and of course it takes many sessions to kind of get used to Holly, but what is Holly's really significant advantage? And that is statistical probability. And we can see that coming into the session, each and every strategy has a statistical probability that it comes into the session with. We can see these guys overperformed today. These guys operated at 100% efficiency today. When they came in, 59.8, 60%, 61.7. On the other side of that coin, we can see that these guys underperformed today. They came in at 61 and 64% respectively, and only operated at 50% accuracy today. So the big takeaway with Holly is everything that's coming through has statistical weight behind it. And as we like to say all the time, if you polled a group of 100 traders, ask them how they were implementing statistical probability in their trading strategy, you get a lot of blank stares, okay? Very few people are incorporating hardcore statistics into their trading game, and that's what Holly
Let's
does
talk
and
a little
brings to the
bit
table.
about risk on and risk off and what that flag flying might help us understand as traders.
Sure. Okay. So let me expand my risk on column out here, and I'll sort by it. So I just resorted Holly's trade blotter by risk on. Now we also have risk off to deal with. So straight away, what's the difference between risk off and risk on? Well, if we look at the exit reasons over here, Holly's always going to tell you why she's getting out based on several factors. We have stop losses and profit targets, we have timed holds, and then we have profit save and reduce risk, which allows Holly to get out of a losing trade a little earlier than waiting for the stop to hit, or if a long trade that she's profitable in is stalling out, she has the ability to get out of that trade. Now, so risk off is simply Holly obeying her rules, where risk on is showing us what we are up or down if we just held that trade all day at any point or to the close, as we're seeing right here.
And that can go with other trades that you might have outside of Holly. You're looking down and saying, "Whoa, Holly's saying it's a risk on kind of a day," meaning that holding stuff longer than the expired time might be the benefit across the board for any stock, because that flag of risk on is signifying that today is kind of a nice broad-based rally. It's not a choppy day where you got to take your money quick and get out quick. So that's another, high level 25,000 foot indicator. What direction is the AI going? Today it was all long, and that was the correct direction. And what was the flag flying? Was it risk on or take your money and get out if it's risk off, showing a higher value? But today, doesn't take much. Just look at some of these charts and see it was a rising tide lifting a lot of higher boats today. So it was a risk on type of day.
Indeed, and I'll give this one as a perfect example right here, HFC. So when I double click on the Holly trade, it populates my chart with all of these interesting metrics. In other words, the blue line is when Holly took the buy signal right here. It's going to coincide with the time right here. So this is where Holly recommended the long. We can see what it did shortly thereafter, gave a little bit of wiggle, and then went profitable. Now, the interesting thing to point out here is we've highlighted all this information on the charts for you. Notice the shaded gradient area right here. This is Holly staying in the trade and getting out on risk off. So the shaded area is always highlighting the time, price action in which Holly was in the trade. Now, why did she get out? Timed exit, which when we look at sunrise movers, it's designed around a 30-minute hold time. Now, when we see Holly exiting the trade, the stock's right here. If we like what's going on with the chart pattern, and this is the best way to address this is a trade-by-trade basis, if we feel that the trade is conducive and the chart pattern is conducive, and we feel that there's more meat left on that bone, then we can accept more risk and adjust our stop losses accordingly. And in this case, a big spread between what Holly took, a dime, and what eventually unfolded. So the name of the game is trying to get a little bit of that spread there. Of course, we might top tick something every once in a while. She did a pretty good job right here, taking 60% or 60 cents on the SXCP trade. And if she would have stayed in, she would have only got an extra nickel, but a lot bigger spread here between 10 and 60. All right. Are we all caught up, Steve? Or just looking at the list
I was
here?
backtracking a little bit just to confirm, a couple things I typed. The heartbeat, somebody asked about, that's not an alert of anything. It's just letting us know that we are connected to the Trade Ideas servers and we are pinging and we have a connection. So if you have an alert minus an event like a new high or a new low, it's just going to default to the heartbeat to let you know, hey, we're checking in. We still have a signal. So hopefully that answers that question. How often do you update Holly's algorithms? Well, there's about 35 current algorithms, but as you can see on the top window, only about 7 or 8 of them made the starting bench today. Now, occasionally, the question is, how often do we give new strategies? I believe, we'll submit 3 or 4 new strategies a month, but not all of them might be viable. They're just strategies that are a base strategy that has a lot of returns. I mean, thousands of trades and returns. And then if the AI can take something and whittle that down into something productive, then great. If not, then it gets kicked out. But for now, we definitely have 35 or so strategies that work pretty well.
Right, and actually, Steve, they're modified every single night.
Good point.
So
they're refined.
They're refined. Just because we see Nickelback show up tomorrow, it's not the same version of Nickelback that was running today, because Holly would have changed it, and if it didn't meet that minimum score on that proprietary system that we developed, it wouldn't show up.
All right, I think I know where I want to go next. Guys, the last time I was on, you guys talked about advanced charting. Could you please demonstrate? All right, so why don't we type in the trade of the week, DKS, Dick's Sporting Goods. You'll notice it's not a Holly play, but look at that gradient. A little different color, but still the same gradient. I really want to focus on this. This is very important for newer traders that are not really adept at looking at charts, and they're looking at charts for the first time. What these gradients tell us is, if you were to buy Dick's Sporting Goods at the current closing price, the downside of that gradient is going to be your suggested smart stop based on our AI smart logic and algorithms. The upside is going to be your profit target. Now, yes, this is a day trade type of a time frame risk reward parameter, and it also shows up on the 5-minute chart. Take a look at that 5-minute chart, guys. You see it even more clear as a bell. Our downside is clearly defined, and our upside is clearly defined. So no matter what stock you type into trade ideas, which by the way is just clicking the chart and typing a symbol, you are going to get a new fresh look at the current price, and based on the current price, the calculations of what a recommended smart stop would be to the downside and what a realistic upside target would be, which dovetails into, the next question. Let's see. Hang on a second. Okay, I'll get to the next one. I noticed that the entry point had already passed whenever a Holly popped up. Is that common? Yes and no, John. Sometimes they might be fast alerts that are fast, but a lot of our alerts are pullback alerts. Quarterback, buying a pullback, strong stock on a pullback. So a lot of times those pullback alerts will actually overshoot the entry point by a nickel or so and give you time. So it's a trade-off. You get a little bit of both. It just kind of
depends on the catalyst, right? Because, hey, if an alert goes off at 10, by the time all the data circulates through the ether from quote providers to the internet and you actually type it up and look at it, most of the time you're going to experience a little bit of slippage. That might be a penny, it might be 5 pennies, but that's going to depend on the stock and what's the spread and is it highly liquid, so forth and so on. So a little slippage is only to be expected when you're taking signals from a model such as Holly.
Let me forward the question to you, which is a common question, Jamie. It looks like all this Holly stuff is geared for just day trading. What would we say to that?
Well, we like to say that every trade starts out as a day trade, but what's going to give us conviction that something has merit to accept overnight risk, right? And the answer is typically we have to consult the daily, right? So I'm just going to pick something completely random here. Let's go back to HFC again. Of course, here's the intraday. Let's say we took the play from Holly and it's going up. Yay, we're happy, it's green, it's working. Now, when it starts to get up here and go flatten out, we're thinking to ourselves, well, should I take the money? Because I'd hate to get out if it goes more, right? Because I saw Holly get out here and then look what happened. We got another run. Well, let's consult the daily. And what do? We look to the left. We try to figure out where this stock might bump its head today. Now, of course, magically, at its high, look what it was butting up against, right? We see it perfectly butts up against the candle from the day before yesterday and retraces, because this little area right here looks like it might be a little bit of, resistance, right? So that's it in a very simplistic description,
What about
of
the big
course,
one? The big winner today, I believe it was that SMCP. That one.
OSXCP.
That
All
one
right.
is a little
Different
different.
story. Yeah,
Okay, well
exactly.
now we have
Mhm.
a chart that Holly showed us that we might not have otherwise seen. Yes, it's got some resistance coming up, but boy, did it break out of a nice, 3 or 4 month range today. And so the answer to that is it's a discretionary product. Holly kind of points us in the right direction for charts that are interesting and have statistical probabilities, but it is up to us. And what I always tell people is if you're not quite sure, you can always sell half for the day trade, and then letting the other half work for you as a trader is a lot less alarming and emotional. You can just kind of back pocket that second piece, and hopefully it works for you and manage it accordingly, of course. But it's a common question. Thank you for asking it. But Holly definitely shows us stocks that are doing something today, but a lot of them, could be ready to continue going uh, farther. Which ones are those? We never really know, but it's up to us to look at the daily charts and kind of make sense of resistance and support levels and where some possible air pockets could be that the price could run to. All right, we got to
Right.
move on here. Advanced charting. Okay, so we just did the advanced charting. And Lance, we actually have some indicators now. We're not going to go ahead and start laying indicators, but if you right click inside the charts, you will see down at the bottom we have indicators. And what do we have? Well, we've got average volume. We have that particular channel. I've never heard of it or used it. We have EMA averages, which people have been clamoring for. We have a multi-period high. That's a new one. We have RSI, relative strength indicator. We have SMA, simple moving averages, and we have volume. So those are the four basic out-of-the-box indicators that we've come with, and they can be applied to the charts. But I really wanted to focus on those gradients to show you guys how the input-output of trade ideas allows you to type a symbol in and get immediate results as to where your downside and upside should actually be. All right. Okay, Sean, is there a customer service phone number for support? Support is really done best in live chat or support tickets. Over the phone, there's not much we can do, and I would advise people to really only dial that phone number if you have an accounting issue because the phone is manned by the accounting girls, and they don't have technical support abilities. So the best place for technical support abilities is to go to trade-ideas.com on our homepage and take advantage of that little live chat pop-up at the bottom right during market hours. After market hours, those all get forwarded to info@trade-ideas.com, which is another place that you can receive support. So the phone is not a highly efficient tool. It's basically used for leaving messages and callbacks to make sure that people's accounts are correct or upgraded, downgraded, or canceled, or what have you. Okay, let's see. Any way to see if an alert would trigger at a certain time to back test if my alert would trigger? Okay, so we'll just call that the back testing question. So the back testing question is open to you all. However, you're only able to back test an alert window. And an alert window is the A windows. And so if you right click into any A window, you'll see the ability to go into back testing. And quickly, I did want to backtrack. I know we're talking fast, but we've got a big group here. Somebody had asked, hey, where do I go to get all the cloud links? Well, the channel bar is where you go to get a lot of the cloud links. And the webinars, showing up in these webinars, you can also get a good sense of some shareable cloud links that we can drop in. For instance, the high-low pro extreme volume, we drop that into the chat window. But if you're wanting more, and if that's not enough for you, and I apologize, I forgot the name who asked that question. Once again, info@trade-ideas.com. There is a PDF sheet floating around out there that Andy, myself, and Jamie have put up some of our favorite scans in CloudLink form. So you could all request that PDF, and that could be sent to you. There's some additional cloud links on there as well. So that's really the best way to go shopping. And Barry's live trading room. There's tons of links being given in and out and shared in the live trading room. But there's no real one Lazy Susan carousel library where you can go and just pick stuff off the shelf. That's primarily the channel bar you see on the left. That's going to be your best source to start with. But if you hear us talking about custom scans that we created or somebody else created, info@trade-ideas.com, and you can request that PDF sheet and we'll get that out to you. All right. Indicators on the charts. Okay, I think Kumar, hopefully you got that. Jamie went over on the chart where Holly shows where to buy and sell. If you did, if you didn't, let us know. We can go over it again. And again, we're recording this webinar, so everybody gets a chance to rewatch it.
Right. So when we look at a stock that Holly's traded, you'll see all the information over here on the right. Blue is the entry, red is the stop loss, green is the profit target.
Right. Here's a good question. Do you have the VWAP indicator? Yes and no. As an indicator on the chart overlay, we do not have it. It may be in the next round of indicators, but what we do have, and is even more important as far as I'm concerned, is the VWAP filter. And we can take that VWAP filter and we can use it to basically only show us stocks that are very close to, right above, right below, bracketed within a few percentage points of the VWAP. So we can determine where we want the current price of any stock we're scanning for and where it is in its relation to the VWAP. So that's called the VWAP filter. And again, the person that asked that question, if you go back and watch the 1-hour video in the chat window, getting started, there's a lot of talk on how to come in here and just choose your filters, you choose your alerts, and slowly work through, creating what it is that you do want to create.
Okay, I see Ed is a little confused. Let me just do something for Ed real quick. He was asking if he could backtest a single symbol.
Okay.
And so, as Steve was saying earlier, you can only backtest an alert window. So, for example, I spawn a new alert window. I do have the ability to go into symbol list and select single symbol. So let's say I only want to backtest the SPY. And then, if we're only looking at one symbol, we really don't need any filters because, well, we're just looking at that one symbol. So now I have the SPY set up to say, okay, what happens, alert me when the SPY hits a new high. Then I could easily go in here and backtest that single event and go, okay, what happens if every time the SPY hits a high, I buy it and dump it after 15 minutes? Well, we could run that single stock back test. It's going to come back and tell you. So that way you can go back and test each and every alert with your proper time frame, profit target, and stop loss that you see fit for any single symbol. And you can find some pretty good stuff like that, just FYI.
Let me add, if you can go back to the alert. I think I'm going to zero in on Edward's question here.
Sure.
The history function is also something Edward might be looking for to identify a single stock if it ever did come through my alert, when and where and what time. So it's the same exercise. In the configuration window, you've got to assign that one stock that you want on the symbols tab and make sure it's only pointing towards that symbol tab. Once you got it, then you can run the history.
Right. So, here we are looking at all the symbols, right? But if it was SPY, of course, and we came back here and pointed it just to SPY, then when we review the history, it's only going to be the occurrences, of SPY coming through here. And of course, we can see every time the SPY hit a high today. So that's one way to narrow it down. If you're interested in just one stock, you can do it that way. So I hope that makes sense.
Thank you, Gregory. We're getting caught up here. Greg's completely blown away on his first day of test driving Trade Ideas now. Can't wait for tomorrow and the rest of the week, and that's awesome. There's definitely a learning curve. Some people are a bit more intimidated than others, and I'm glad to hear that you go hit the ground running there, Gregory. But we are definitely here for those who still have, some ideas or some questions on how to get what they're looking for. But appreciate that feedback, Gregory. Thank you. Okay. Next question is, can we link Trade Ideas to Thinkorswim or E-Trade to make trades? Well, Yes and no again. The only way that you can link to a broker to make trades from the Trade Ideas platform currently is with interactive brokers, and that may expand hopefully over the course of this year as our Trade Ideas interactive brokers product comes out of demo. But the yes part to your question is what we can do is what's called external linking. And external linking allows you to, click on a symbol inside of Trade Ideas and not only have the Trade Ideas chart and single stock window change, but also have your Thinkorswim windows change or your eSignal window or your TC2000 charts change. So it's called external linking. And it's a bit tricky. It's in the tools toolbar there, and external linking. You basically bring up that window and add link, and you just follow the wizard. Now, there's a big caveat here. Chances are you guys might not nail it your first time. We do have a lot of PDFs that are specific to TC2000, Thinkorswim, Lightspeed, eSignal, and things like that. So if you want more information on how to link your trade ideas externally, so when you click on a symbol, your brokerage charts change and the symbol order changes on your brokerage, and you're all ready to go and try to make the trading more efficient by using that symbol linking, please email us again to info@trade-ideas.com with the platform that you would like to link externally to, and we'll try and get our pre-baked PDF step-by-step program out to you, and that should get you a running start.
And Michael's question, is there a way to just show the Holly alerts that are under 40? There's no way to put a cap on there right now. So unfortunately, short answer is no, Michael.
Okay. No, not with TD Ameritrade. Could you link with eSignal? I believe we can link with eSignal. But again, we have a special guy that the email of those questions specifically relating to externally linking, we will submit them to him if they come in, and he is the expert and he can give you any knowledge needed. So again, if you're looking to externally link to your own specific brokerage, we link to about 90% of them out there, and there's usually a way, but we certainly can't spend all the time here going through each one. So info@trade-ideas.com with your specific request, and we will be very responsive. All right. Yes, you can link to IB, Carmelo. Not a problem.
All right, so I guess we're caught up. We're caught up, I think.
Edward, okay, yeah, Edward, did you still have an open issue? Okay, it seems when I do a time frame of the entire day from 4 p.m., most recent alert to 9:30 a.m., oldest alert for a single stock, it doesn't show all the alerts. I have to instead make the time frame smaller. Well, you're going to have to experiment with that, and sometimes we think that single stock alerts are going to come out, and they don't, because a filter set may not have been met at a certain period of the day. And he says, never mind, seems to be working now. Thank you.
I like that. Okay. All right.
All right. Thanks for the follow-up. Guys, we got about, excuse me, got about 5 minutes to go. We're going to be really regimented on this, but again, it's being recorded. So we'll try and take it to the top of the hour.
All right, so let me just knock out Marsha's question real quick here. Marsha, we've had an older version existing in the E-Trade platform for many, many years. So it does exist in the form of what they call strategy scanner, but it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the most updated client version does. Actually, we're in talks with them to get that updated. So yes, there is a version of Trade Ideas in there right now, but it's not the latest and greatest version.
All right, I think I got 3 more questions here that we can lock in and kind of call at the end of the day, and let's take them in order. The first one is real simple, Kumar, how to add float to your scanners. Very simple. Just using the old search column in configuration. And it's as simple as saying, well, do I want to see stuff that doesn't exceed a certain amount of float? So you'd grab float shares, add that filter and say, on the maximum, put in 25 million. A lot of people may not want to see stocks above 25 million. So that in effect would be kind of a low float strategy. You're only going to be scanning for about 1/3 of the market, the stocks in the lower float echelon. Okay. This is a good one. In some of the alerts, we have a ratio box. You know what I'm talking about, Jamie?
Yes, I do.
And so Edward is wondering, can we briefly go over what those ratios mean in some of our alerts that we use?
Okay, well, let's just look at the top of the alert list here, because this is a very good topic, because every alert has different things, different metrics. So like with new high, if we're looking at the metric that might be coming through the
That's going to be
box,
days.
right? So we have a box over here. So if we only want to see, stocks hitting a 10-day high or higher, we could put a minimum in here, okay? Every alert's going to be a little bit different. Now, what I like to do, and what I encourage especially new users to do, is come over to the columns tab, put a quality, maybe even a description column, push it over here. That way we see that as a column, and even if I don't have anything in the box, like I don't have anything right now, but this guy is going to give me the information. The quality, it's saying WF. By the way, this is a 2-day high. If I checked out the history, you'd see, hey, wow, V, the highest the stock's been in 1,060 days, right? Now, since we're using new high as an alert, we're also getting fed additional information here. Look, it's telling us where the next resistance levels might be, all right? So especially when you're new, can't hurt to have a quality column, because it's going to give us the exact metric for each and every specific alert. So let's use a different example here real quick. I know we're pushed for time, Steve, but I'd like to drive it home with this. Let's say we select 25% pullback from high since the open, right? And we install that alert. And then in the quality column, it will tell us the amount of said pullback, right? So it'll tell us, well, it pulled back, and this is by how many dollars or cents the pullback was. So you can get a lot of information by displaying that quality column. And a lot of the times we don't really know what the number should be, and it's only by watching that we can develop a correlation. So I hope that makes sense.
And just to qualify, when he was on the high alert, the question is, if you leave the box blank, that would be for same-day highs, Edward. So if you want an intraday day trading scan using new highs, keep that box blank. So every new penny will be a new high. Mm-hmm. Okay, I thought there was one more that we were going to hit. 1 minute to the top. Where can we refine the recording? If you look, Mike, who asked that question? Harley, if you look in the chat window, I dropped in what's called the YouTube channel. So all of our webinars this week will be uploaded to that particular YouTube channel. Just give us about 4 or 5 hours to compress it and upload it. Okay, this was the third one. This is our last one, guys. What is meant by shareable price alert? So why don't you go ahead and pull up the price alert, Jamie? So on your price alert page, and yes, if you guys are limited to just 10 in the standard service, you basically create those on the chart by right-clicking and putting in the price level you want. But once you've got that window, when Jamie's fishing for his price alert window,
there we go. Okay.
We can see, we don't have one, so let's go ahead and set one.
Exactly.
So we'll have a chance to set an alert. All right, we'll just go new highs on the SPY.
Right, so
maybe even post-market. Yeah, go to post-market highs on the SPY there.
Okay.
And we'll set them for tomorrow.
Okay, so we got a high here of 282.90. So when I right click, assuming I'm in the general vicinity, you can see it's 282.88. So I'll just go ahead and put a little bit above and say 95.
You could even write in the notes, pre-market all-time high. So you'll know what this is when it pops up. So once he clicks save, that's going to be populated in the price alert as a working alert. You see to the right, it's working. It has not been triggered. It's waiting. Well, what if you got about 3 or 4 of these alerts and you got some friends and they respect your trading abilities and you want to share it with them? Well, right click all the ones you want, share price alert, and now we're back right into the cloud function again. So not only can we save scans and configurations of scans, we can set a bunch of price alerts with price targets and triggers and stocks we're watching, and we can share those with people that we choose to. So that's what we mean by shareable price alerts. And you have about 10 of those to play with on a standard version. They're unlimited on the premium version.
And I just dropped that cloud link in there just in case anybody wants to play around with the functionality. Copy that cloud link out of the chat, highlight it, right-click copy, and then just file load from your TI toolbar and give it a whirl.
And the cloud links are good for as long as you have an account. So theoretically, you guys could set up some cloud alerts, and if you came back, a month from now, you could still have access to the same cloud alerts using the same, login with a subscription. The alert will send you, it'll pop up on your alerts. What it does, Ryan, is it populates into your window. So all the stuff, once you click load from cloud, you're going to have 5 or 6 more alerts in that same window that Jamie's showing you. So it's not an email. It's just going to splash on the screen at the exact same time for everybody that has that alert in real time. All right. But you have to have trade ideas running. That is correct.
Yes. We do have a, and I almost hate to mention this because it's not the fastest mechanism, but there is the ability to have your alerts only from an alert window delivered via email or SMS. That's accessible through another conduit you have to access from our website. But it's not the timeliest way to get your alerts.
I hate to leave without hitting this one question because I don't quite understand it, but this will be our last one, everybody. Carmelo, how do you remove a box from Windows-specific filters? Understand that question? Because I don't.
I kind of think I might. Let's just pull up an alert window here. So here's an alert window. Now, I'm going to my Windows-specific filters. Now, he could be meaning, you know what? I'm not using all these other guys. I'm just using these guys. So how can I clear up the clutter? If that is the case, we go down here to this hide unused button. As soon as I click it, wham, it's going to do some house cleaning for me. Now, if some are still showing up, more than likely it's because they're being viewed as columns. So that's why some will show up after you hit the button.
Hide unused was the magic button for you, Carmelo.
All right.
Well, let's play us out here. Was there anything you wanted to show on the way out, Jamie, that needs?
There's nothing really that I was chomping at the bit for, just because I know that we're so, have such little time here with only an hour to go.
Well,
during these dailies.
Info@trade-ideas.com is your next place to go. We will triage all the emails that come in this week and make sure they go to the appropriate person. Give us a day to respond, but we'll get everybody taken care of. And again, this webinar was recorded. It will be up on our YouTube channel later this evening once I have a chance to compress it and upload it. And we got through all the questions. I think we nailed it, Jamie. I appreciate you all showing up. You're welcome to show up again tomorrow. Bring your friends, and we'll try and jam-pack another hour's worth of technical support for the test drivers. Same time tomorrow, same channel. So,
yep, we'll
Jamie,
be here
I'm going to shut her down, and we'll get the video rocking. And for those of you that want to come back tomorrow, thank you for the comments. I see them, and we will see you all tomorrow, same time. Yes,
perfect.
We'll see you tomorrow, same time. Bye-bye. We're going to hang up.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.